Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Now at 10, temperatures continuing to spike both here in the Nutmeg State and across the globe. How folks are beating the heat during this extended heat wave. A staple of many people's summers now completely off limits. The details on what one algae growth is doing to a lakeside community. The overturning of Roe v. Wade still a controversial issue here in the U.S. How some activists are fighting it. The Fox 61 News at 10 starts right now. Thanks for joining us for the News at 10. I'm Carmen Chow. Today is day 6 of this heat wave and the hottest day of it, feeling like triple digits in some places. Let's toss it over to meteorologist Ryan Breton. Ryan, any chance this heat is breaking anytime soon?
Well, we are done with the worst of it, that I can tell you, Carmen. But tonight it is going to be very warm, and we actually have some needed rain falling in a few communities tonight. The live Doppler radar showing what was a thunderstorm now weakening, just a downpour really now, moving through the Granby area. But there was some gusty wind with this as it moved into Torrington and into parts of Litchfield County about 45 minutes to an hour ago. Now, though, just some rain headed for Granby and Simsbury. Look at the temperatures. 10 o'clock at night, it's 86 degrees in Hartford, 84 in New Haven, 81 in Chester, and 81 degrees in Willimantic. And it's not just very warm, it is very humid. Dew points in much of the state above 70, and this is that tropical-like humidity. It will be with us all night long. And since it's so humid, it just is not going to cool off tonight. Some places like New Haven, for example, may not drop much below 80 overnight tonight. Now tomorrow we will have more clouds around. There won't be the bright sun that we had today. Some hazy sunshine at times. I think we'll make a run at 90 in Hartford. If we do it, that would be day 7 of this heat wave. But most places tomorrow will have high temperatures that get into the 80s. Importantly about tomorrow, though, a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms in the afternoon. A level 2 out of 5 risk, a slight risk for severe weather, including all of Connecticut. And it's kind of a large window of time left to keep our eye to the sky. Any time in the afternoon and evening, there's a chance for a couple of rounds of showers and storms. We'll talk more about that, go through the timeline, and look ahead to less humid weather coming up in just a bit. Carmen?
Ryan, thank you. A health advisory has been issued for Coventry Lake due to a bloom of blue-green algae. Swimming and water sports are highly discouraged as people continue to look for ways to stay cool during the heat wave. Fox 61's Tony Black joins us in the studio after hearing from neighbors of the lake today. Tony?
Yeah, Carmen, this is the first for Coventry Lake. There's never been a bloom of blue-green algae to this extent at this popular summer destination, and neighbors of this lake are disappointed that as that excess heat continues, they can't cool off in their own backyard.
There'd probably be 25 boats out there right now, tied up, people swimming, enjoying the lake. And there'd be another 10, 15, 20 boats running around, water skiing, tubing.
A quiet Sunday afternoon on Coventry Lake. It's an uncommon and unwelcome sound at the popular Talland County destination. Caution tape and no swimming signs are now the sights of summer.
We can't swim, but, we make the best of it.
A health advisory has been issued due to a bloom of blue-green algae. Neighbors were notified just before the weekend. This is the first time for the lake. Michael Barocas has lived here for more than 2 decades.
You can still enjoy the lake looking at it and taking a boat ride and things like that, but water skiing, swimming, stuff like that, that's out.
The town manager says they've been watching the algae since last summer, but it continued to grow through the warmer winter. There are health risks like body irritation and gastrointestinal problems from the bacteria. People are discouraged from any form of contact with the water. No swimming or water sports, and pets should be kept out.
This is a big emptiness, to have this happen.
Karen Roberts searched for years to find her home on Coventry Lake. It will take weeks for the blooms to go away, time they want to spend enjoying the water.
I can't put my face in the water. I can't even go in there.
There's an escape from the heat wave for neighbors just feet away, but now they're being told to keep their feet out. Summer in Coventry Lake shifting to summer on it.
We're just going to have to wait it out, see what happens, and hopefully next year will be a better year.
People are not allowed to swim at the town beaches, and they could face fines if they do. The town manager says treatments for the algae bloom could potentially harm natural organisms in the water, and that permit process would take too long. He says it might not be safe again to swim in until mid-August. In the studio, Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
Tony, thank you. And while their lake might not be up and operational, the town of Coventry is finding some creative ways to keep temperatures down. The town's recreation department teamed up with the fire department to host a water cool down, which translated to a fire truck spraying water over anyone looking to beat the heat. The event happened midday at the peak of the high temperatures. A popular Plainville restaurant closed its doors earlier today to give staff a break from the heat. J. Timothy's Tavern is open until 8 on Sundays, but they made the call to close at 5 today. The manager says the extreme heat this week has just accumulated inside the restaurant, and it felt the hottest day today, even with air conditioning. They wanted to make sure the staff stays healthy so they can continue cooking up their famous wings.
We've had this huge stretch of heat, obviously we all know that, and then when you're adding a grill, ovens, 9 fryers, all wings, all day, it gets very, very hot on there. They're right up against it.
The manager says customers understand and appreciate closing early for safety. Not only is much of the U.S. in the midst of a heat wave, but so is Europe and Asia. The record high temperatures are sparking wildfires, scorching crops, and having deadly consequences. Fox News correspondent Trey Yinks has the details.
The heat wave across the world has killed thousands of people as records are set in multiple areas. The high temperatures are moving further east to affect countries like Italy and Greece. Greek officials say 4 major wildfires are burning across the country, forcing evacuations from homes and hotels. Hundreds of firefighters are working around the clock to control the flames. The devastation comes after Western Europe saw heat spikes earlier in the week, with England recording temperatures over 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Authorities in London have issued a level 4 heat warning, meaning even fit and healthy individuals are at risk of death. Protesters in England and neighboring Scotland called for faster actions against climate change during protests over the weekend. The demonstrators called for taxes against big polluters and the limiting of permits given to gas and oil companies. It's not just Europe that's suffering under this new heat wave. Countries across Asia are bracing for higher temperatures this week. In China, the situation is so dire that officials are warning of dam failures due to melting glaciers. The increased water flow and flooding could affect cotton crops in the country as well. This heat wave clearly a worldwide problem, and unfortunately the death toll from this weather event is expected to rise in the coming days. In Jerusalem, Trey Yinks, Fox News.
Remember, whenever severe weather happens in our state and in your hometown, the Fox 61 News app has you covered with everything you need to know to stay safe. Track live radar conditions, check the hour-by-hour forecast, and get weather alerts sent right to your mobile device. New Haven police staying busy last night after 2 shootings within an hour-and-a-half span. The first shooting happened around 10 p.m. on Gough Street. Police say a 49-year-old man and 30-year-old woman were shot. The second shooting took place on Greenwood Street shortly after 11 p.m., where a 21-year-old man was shot. All 3 victims were sent to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. President Biden's physician says his COVID symptoms are continuing to improve, quote, significantly. In the meantime, the president's economic advisors are weighing in ahead of an upcoming report that could show whether the economy is in a recession. Fox correspondent Jackie Heinrich is at the White House with those details.
President Biden's main symptom is now a sore throat, his other symptoms diminishing. His physician saying it's a sign his body is clearing the virus. Biden's voice remains a bit deep, but his vital signs normal and his lungs are clear. He's completed a 3rd day of the antiviral Paxlovid as planned, supplemented with an inhaler for cough. We've not seen the president at all this weekend, and seeking to downplay concerns about the 79-year-old's diagnosis, the White House has not made Biden's physician available for questions. Officials speaking on his behalf say the president is fully vaccinated, twice boosted, and experiencing a mild case. Biden will continue to carry out his duties in isolation, where he'll remain through Tuesday. Meantime, ahead of this week's GDP report, the White House appears to be bracing for a second consecutive quarter of negative growth, commonly referred to as a recession. But don't expect anyone in the Biden administration to start using the R word.
What a recession really means is a broad-based contraction in the economy. And even if that number is negative, we are not in a recession now.
The Council of Economic Advisors redefining what a recession is, writing on their blog, What is a recession? While some maintain that 2 consecutive quarters of falling real GDP constitute a recession, that is neither the official definition nor the way economists evaluate the state of the business cycle. They go on to say official determinations take a holistic look at the data, including the labor market, consumer and business spending, industrial production, and incomes, and quote, based on these data, it is unlikely that the decline in GDP in the first quarter of this year, even if followed by another GDP decline in the second quarter, indicates a recession. The White House is relying on the Bureau of Economic Research to make that determination, but you'll recall back in 2008, that organization waited until December to announce a recession that had begun a full year prior. At the White House, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade continues to spur protest in our state as pro-abortion rights groups speak out. A small group rallied at the state capitol this morning, made up of legal rights groups, abortion providers, reproductive justice organizations, and faith leaders. They're calling on Connecticut's congressional delegation to support expanding and reforming the Supreme Court.
Making sure that the court is a more representative body as opposed to what has happened over time, where it placed in a majority that will really dismantle a lot of what we perceive as fundamental rights.
We are fortunate to be in Connecticut, where we codified the protections of Roe v. Wade in 1990, but a threat to reproductive freedom anywhere is a threat to reproductive freedom everywhere.
A group of congressional Democrats have introduced legislation to add 4 seats to the Supreme Court following its rightward tilt during the Trump administration. However, the bill has little chance of becoming law as it faces opposition from Republicans, and Democrats are not united on expanding the court.